I am beyond annoyed. I'm going that way. No. This could well be the end of the BBC as we know it. The British state broadcaster are going to be sued by the US president. How good was Newsnight when Paxman did it? We need to talk about the BBC. We used to have such good comedy on the BBC.
Where are you from?
BBC.
The BBC.
Here's another beauty.
The fight for truth is on.
Lol. What the hell happened to the BBC? The BBC used to be amazing. The BBC used to be the envy of the world.
Tonight, the BBC is facing serious questions over its credibility after the Daily Telegraph exposed a Panorama segment that heavily doctored a speech by the American president in 2021.
So if you're not familiar with this story, here's a quick summary. A guy called Michael Prescott. Michael Prescott was an advisor to the BBC's Editorial and Standards Committee, and he raised concerns to the senior figures at the BBC about said editorial guidelines and standards not being upheld. In particular, he raised issues around Panorama episode entitled Trump, A Second Chance, in which the BBC have doctored footage, making it look like Donald Trump instigated a call to arms. So what Michael Prescott did was he compiled a dossier of 19 pages and he leaked them to the Telegraph. And the Telegraph have broken this story. So let's take a look.
The BBC claims to be the pinnacle of impartial reporting. But what if there was an internal dossier that revealed that wasn't the case? The Telegraph has seen a letter that reveals one of the BBC's own independent advisors.
A guy called Michael Prescott. Michael Prescott.
Repeatedly warned that the broadcaster had serious and systemic problems. A week before the US election, BBC Panorama released a documentary called Trump, A Second Chance, and in it, they played the following clip.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell.
Here's what Trump actually said.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
It's different.
But the story's now beginning to gain traction because it's looking like Donald Trump is now going to take legal action, which means that the British state broadcaster are going to be sued by the US president. That's enormous, and it's all because of this doctored footage. And it is doctored footage. You can see the difference yourself.
And we fight, and we're going to cheer on.
This is not editing for time.
The fight for truth is on.
Now, the BBC is funded by the British public. At the very least, I expect impartiality, and so should everybody else. Once that impartiality is breached, we shouldn't have to pay for it. But it's not the first time the BBC have been involved in a scandal, is it?
Pregnant people, women.
I'm not saying that the BBC is going to cease to exist. What I am saying, it's not going to exist in the format in which we know it. More and more people are not paying their licence fee anyway. When you've got ex-prime ministers coming out and saying they're not going to pay the licence fee, why should anybody else? This is just going to add fuel to that fire, and even more people are now not going to pay it. Give them the benefit of the doubt and say that this was just a mistake. Okay, fine. You're still going to get sued, and it's still the British public paying the licence fee that have got to foot the bill for either the legal fees or the insurance bill that pay the legal fees. So I don't care. I hope Donald Trump does sue them, and I hope it is the end of the BBC as we know it. And Kemi Badenoch is correct. Heads should roll for this. This is the sort of stuff that the media in East Germany used to do.
The fight for truth is on.
Going to try and convince you that this is just editing for time. No, it's not. This is doctoring. Look at the context. Look how much this changes what he's saying.
We fight. We're going to cheer on.
Michael Prescott, he leaked the dossier to the Telegraph because he just despaired. So now this 19-page dossier is in the hands of the board of directors at the BBC, senior figures in Whitehall, Ofcom, House of Commons Select Committee, and of course the Telegraph. Michael Prescott alleges in the dossier deliberate deception. We're paying for this. This is misleading people. The state broadcaster that we pay for by law, by a mandatory licence fee, misleading people.
The fight for truth,
Deliberate deception,
is on.
This was broadcast to millions in the run-up to a US presidential election. You seriously got to ask yourself, should we be paying for this? Quite clearly bias.
The fight for truth.
I'm going that way.
Is on.
There you go. And that's what people do. I mean, I know that junction very well, so I expect it. Every single junction like that, you assume that the car's going to pull out and you'd be very cautious. Anyway, what was I saying? I watched Have I Got News For You last night and this came up. Now normally, Have I Got News For You, that's a programme where they love to catch people out and make fun of them, ridicule them. So let's take a quick look at how they reacted.
It's allowed room for people to criticise them, hasn't it? So, in a sense, it's stupid and it's clumsy to have done that. Stupid and it's clumsy.
The British state broadcaster are going to be sued by the US president.
Stupid and it's clumsy.
If this was another channel, Ian Hislop and Private Eye would be all over it.
I mean, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but I feel like if he was clearly inciting violence, then there's no need to edit a clip.
And we fight. And we're going to cheer on.
Inciting violence.
And we're going to cheer on.
Then there's no need to edit a clip.
And we're going to cheer on.
I mean, Have I Got News For You used to be absolutely awesome. It's just a complete waste of time watching it now. It's just dreadful these days. But anyway, who's hired this person and what's their mindset? That's gone all the way down the chain to someone being employed to edit footage of a US presidential candidate to make it look like they said something they didn't say.
Disinformation.
Not only something they didn't say, but a call to arms.
And we fight. And we're going to cheer on.
A call to violence.
The fight for truth is on.
Michael Prescott, whose dossier this is, he's set to appear in front of the Media, Culture and Sport Committee this week. Does that count as fly tipping? Why do people leave a TV next to a public bin like that? Just take it to the tip. And to make it worse, they didn't just splice the footage from different times in the speech. The January the 6th rioters had already set off to the Capitol building before this speech even began.
The BBC themselves later published a report at odds with Panorama's own timeline.
If you're enjoying this video, please could you hit like, please subscribe. I'm now trying to get to 150 subscribers after reaching 100 in the last video. I really do appreciate it. I'm trying to grow this thing. Cheers!
They even time-stamped the footage to show that the march began at 10:58 a.m, well before Trump's midday speech.
So when they spliced it together and said fight, fight like hell, they've then shown footage of the rioters on January the 6th, 2021, marching to the Capitol, but Donald Trump hadn't even begun talking.
In fact, the memo highlights that shortly after the first extract of Trump's speech, the now president actually said,
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
It's all sequenced backwards.
The true chronology raises serious questions about the way in which the BBC decided to portray the events.
Bear in mind that this is the week before the US presidential election in 2024, and it's going out to millions of households.
BBC's Editorial Guidelines and Standards Committee member who wrote this memo raised all of these concerns, among others, with the BBC executive, but they were dismissed, ignored, and even accused of cherry-picking.
This storm is only just brewing. This will now be in the news cycle for the next 12 months. And not only that, just imagine if GB News or Talk TV or one of the more independent news outlets had doctored footage like this. Ofcom would be all over it. They'd probably lose their licence or at least get a suspension or a gigantic fine. And again, I say, we're funding this. We are funding this. The British public, we fund this organisation. There you go, look. Potatoes in the ground. They're all being harvested at the minute. That field is full of them. They will be in your supermarket soon. If you don't like Donald Trump, fine. But you need to understand that there could be a point in time where this could happen to one of the political leaders in the world that you do like, who you want to get elected. It could come back to bite everybody, and we're funding it. If they doctored this footage, what else do they doctor? What else do they try and deceive you with? It's not impartial, it's not balanced. Editorial guidelines and standards. Come on, give us a break. Slow down a bit. The reason the BBC are being so tight-lipped is because they probably know that a lawsuit is on its way. Donald Trump has sued media in the US successfully. It's Sunday morning now, and so it transpires that the BBC are going to apologise. Apology's not good enough as far as I'm concerned. If you're a small business and you got caught trying to pull this sort of stuff, you'd be charged with fraud. Someone high up has got to resign and people need to be fired. Whoever edited that, whoever signed off on that, needs to go. Impartiality is not an option for a state broadcaster. It is an absolute must. They're trying to frame it as a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. They did it on purpose. You're publicly funded. The public have every right to attack you for lying. Nick Robinson says that it's important the BBC stand up to people that prefer propaganda and disinformation. The Panorama edit was propaganda. The Panorama edit was disinformation. The levels of obnoxiousness are off the charts with these people.
The fight for truth is on.
If you think it's the people that are the ones spreading truth and not the state media, then hit that like button. Who cares if they apologise? Could you subscribe also, please? Really, really would help me out. I've got over 100 subscribers now, so thanks for everyone for that, but please, more of you, I need you. Come on. Gonna go back and finish the edit, schedule this release, then I'm riding off to the coast for Sunday afternoon. Or do you think? Do you think it's time to abandon the licence fee completely? Do you think the BBC needs reform? Do you think Nick Robinson is obnoxious? Do you think Tim Davies should resign? Do you think, like me, this is the end of the BBC as we know it? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.